Happy holidays and welcome to Tranquility du Jour. And I thought for the final video of the year, I would do a little bit of a highlights of a year in review. And we're doing it from the cabin. And Louis, it's so funny, as I sat down to do this, he was actually sitting on the pillow, which I'm on. And I told him he could be part of it, but it wasn't just him. So anyway, he's joining. And it's a total treat to be here with you all. You know, I have to say, yesterday and Christmas Eve, I took total bed days. I was just an absolute recluse, and it was so divine. So if you haven't had a chance to do a bed day during the season, I encourage you to try to fit it into your schedule. It makes such a difference. So tonight, I pulled everything out, which you can see pieces of, from school syllabi for next semester to my art journal basket to spring colors for tranquility, not the blue. So this beautiful pink, which is supposed to be the color, it's called honeysuckle, and then of course noir. Then we're going to have a couple other surprises inserted in. My 2011 planner, which I can't wait to show you, and I think that's going to be the next video. But I'll just give you a quick sneak peek because I'm so excited about this image. Look at the pigs! It's from an anthropology catalog, and it just makes me so happy. Look how sweet they are. Anyway, so this is forthcoming. And here's my Sarah Suzanka stuff, which I do promise you a beautiful write-up on my experience there 2 weeks ago at Kripalu. So never fear, I promise it's coming in. It's been on my to-do list pretty much every day since I went there. But what I really wanted to kind of pull together was just this idea of what has 2010 kind of held? What has it been? What has been experienced? What has been tasted, felt, emotion, the whole 9 yards. And what I thought I would do is just pull out my planner along with my art journal and kind of go over a few pieces from it. Here's my India journal, which is great. My mother sent me some photos, this beautiful photo paper. I haven't printed a photo in, it seems like 10 years, because now everything's digital. So Mom sent those to me. I'm going to put them in my India journal. But here's my art journal, which I'll show you a few pieces from. But in the meantime, I wanted to just kind of go through and highlight some of the things by just simply looking at my planner pad, so 2010. And one of the biggest experiences, and something that is always very special to me, is on the 1st, I usually hold a workshop at Tranquil Space. I have for probably the past 5 years. And it's all about setting intentions for the new year. So that's how I started my new year in 2010. And then from there, I went to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, and did this amazing art journal retreat with Lisa Sonora Beam. And that is where this came together, again, which I will show in a moment. And then the following week, I went up to Kripalu, and I was like, okay. And that was a mindfulness yoga workshop. And my thought was my 2 words in foci for the new year was going to be creativity and spirituality. And I have to say, I feel like that really was a theme that ran throughout. And then in February, Tranquilista came out. It honestly really came out in January when all said and done, but I think the release date was February. And so in February, I had the book launch for Tranquilista, which was really, it was so exciting. And for those of you who made it, I really appreciate it. It was a very special night, and that was a big thing for February. March, I had a lovely spring break, which Lebeau and I spent on the West Coast. So, oh my goodness, we were in San Diego, LA, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver. That was my spring break. And then I was very lucky to get this gorgeous scar in a surgery. So they thought it was, you know, I've been having issues since December of 2008. And they went in and they finally, after an MRI, they found bone spur. So I'm like, okay. So they were just going to go in and shave it. Well, underneath the bone spur, or on top, I guess it'd be on top of the bone spur, was a torn rotator cuff. So that was basically 3 months after that of lots and lots of physical therapy. April, we had LunaFest for the foundation, and I had lots and lots of struggles with statistics. Got a tutor, got through just fine. Thank you, Mary. And in May, we had Doga, and I went to Oklahoma, which was a total treat to go see my mom and my grandma, who's actually hospitalized right now with double pneumonia, so please send her your thoughts. It's a very scary time for all of us. She actually got through double pneumonia 2 years ago, but she's 2 years older. She's 98 now. And then in the end of May, Costa Rica. So it was either my 8th or 9th trip to Costa Rica, which is craziness. It's such a beautiful place if you haven't been. We're going to be back in July, actually, over 4th of July weekend, and would love to have you join. But it's just a phenomenal experience with heaps and heaps of papaya, which makes me super duper happy. June, summer school. Lots and lots of summer school. And one thing that was very fun about June also was a return to the West Coast, and I stayed at the Beverly Hills Wilshire because I won this contest I didn't even know I'd entered, but Sprinkles, which Sprinkles Cupcakes, put out this thing on Facebook if you became a fan, which I didn't know, but I did become a fan. Once they reached a certain amount, they were going to choose a BFF, Sprinkles BFF. So that was me. So I went out there and I did some book signings out in LA and Portland, and also turned 37 in June. Then we move into July. So July was hot, and I was up at Kripalu, and it was hot. There's no AC because they don't really need it except for like 1 or 2 weeks out of the year, and I happened to be there on one of those weeks that it was needed. And yeah, so July was more summer school and more summer school and more summer school. And then I finished. And then in August, so like the weekend right before, so end of July, early August, we did the Tranquility fall photo shoot. We opened up the new Tranquil Space Arlington location, and Tim and I left for a month, which was the Texas book tour. It was pretty intense. So Texas book tour, and actually we left for really just about 19 days. Then we came back and I went on a silent meditation retreat, which was really, I have to say I love the silence. That wasn't a problem for me, but it's being still. That was super hard, but it was really nice. And then another surgery with my lovely thumb, which you can see it's just a tiny scar compared to this one. And they went in, broke it, realigned it, and it's just severe arthritis. So unfortunately it'll be something I'll have forever, but it's in better shape now. And then went back to school. I went back to school severely jacked up on Percocet. So I didn't know I was that jacked up, and then I looked at my notes like a week later and they were totally incoherent. So I don't recommend that. So then in September, what's fun is I started putting my goals, and I've actually gone through and done it for my 2011 calendar, which I will show you in a future video. But I used an anthropology page and used the wasabi tape and put them in so that I would see them all the time, because I put them on the blog, but it's not the same as actually seeing them in your day-to-day planner. I think that that's really critical, because otherwise we have these big grand goals, but if they're not part of our everyday, they're a little less in your face, really. So September was clearly back to school time. We had our Tranquil Space Arlington opening party. We had the fall launch of Tranquility. I launched a new e-course. There was lots of good stuff. And then we also went up to LeBeau's family's home in Rochester, New York. And en route, we got to see the farm sanctuary again and meet our adopted barnyards. That was very exciting. And then October, we had the Tranquil Space Foundation, kind of 4th annual big celebration, big event, and Green Festival. November, India, amazing. Such an amazing experience. I'm still like blown away by it all and still processing it all. And I hope you enjoyed the video that was up 2 weeks ago that showed the woman who answering my question of how do we be yoga versus do yoga, and then how do we take this experience of India back with us. She's phenomenal. I need to track her down, find out who she is, how I can study with her. And lots of family time. Mom was in town, and for 3 weeks we got to spend together, which was fun. And then December, so here's my December goals. And as you know, I went up to Kripalu and spent the weekend with Sarah Suzenko, the author of Not So Big Life, and that was a total treat. We had a really exciting holiday party for Tranquil Space, and I had a small one at my home for a few friends. And yeah, and I finished up that semester, and I finished up internship for the year. And that's December, basically in a nutshell. That's kind of the year in a nutshell. So I went through, and in my art journal, which you've seen pieces of throughout the year, so it's crazy. Whenever I went to Mexico, this was completely blank. It was this beautiful journal that someone had given me a few years ago. And I was like, it's too pretty, I can't write in it. It's big. It's just a little cumbersome, but it's gorgeous. And it even has, like, you can't tell anymore, but it has gold lined paper. So this is something that I did where I just kind of went through, and then I made tabs. So this is 2010 highlights. And I made tabs with the top of a magazine, like this is from the top of an anthropology catalog that I just tore out, and it gives you kind of nice, it's cardstock. So that's what I used to make tabs, otherwise it can be hard to find things in my art journal. So highlights for 2010, January retreats, 6-year anniversary, Le Chat Noir with Rachel, so it's a friend of mine, and it's this amazing, this really yummy place in Washington, D.C. Surgeries, I don't know so much of a highlight, but they were a big deal, right? Because that in turn meant 3 months of recovery afterwards, and lots of lessons with that. 2 West Coast book tours, Costa Rica, the Farm Sanctuary, and the Pig Sanctuary, where I fell in love with Walter. You've probably seen video and photos of him. E-course launches, Kripalu with Shizuka, and she's just an amazing woman who's gone back to Japan. We miss you, Shizuka and Gota. And she joined me for Kripalu for the second time, and it was a total treat. Birthday and karaoke with Shizuka, India with Mum, internship, office reorganization, snowstorms, massive snowstorms, Doga Press, Washingtonian Press, the Texas Book Tour, Silent Retreat, Tranquil Space Arlington, an opening, Team Retreat, where we had over 100, well, we have over 100 people on our team, but I think there were just about 80 in our studio on September, I believe, was the 22nd of this year, and it's just amazing to see everyone together. Vegas, Zappos Tour, teacher check-in, so I sat down with all of my teachers, 28 of them, there's actually now 29, Jungle Space Foundation events, Green Festival, dinner parties, finding Sarah Suzanka, who I think is an amazing teacher, author of Not So Big Life, joining a gym, so I joined a gym for the first time in like 15 years, just so that whenever my arm was healing that I could do something. So I'd sit on the stationary bike and like pedal for an hour and burn like 20 calories. It was pretty pathetic. But I'm happy. I'm so happy to be part of a gym now. I think it's a nice balance to my yoga. Discovering art journaling, releasing second book. And yeah, so those are highlights. And this is just a little sneak peek into my art journal and the various things I've done, from tabs, whatnot, layers at this point, and I look forward to kind of bringing it all to kind of this grand finale over this next week here at the cabin, where I'm going to be working my right brain business plan and just kind of wrapping up 2010 with a nice little bow, and then moving into dreams and ideas and hopes and magic for 2011. So thank you so much for joining me. Oh, and before we close, I just want to share one new exciting thing. My Kindle. I'm like over the moon about this. So I actually didn't think that I would be into electronic books, but the irony is that I've purchased 3 books, and 2 of them I own in print. But I want to be able to take those with me at all times. One is the E-Myth. And another one that I just bought today, or I bought yesterday, and I put it on my blog today. It's so amazing, and it's like less is more, and I highly recommend it. I'm halfway through it. Anyway, love the Kindle. I love the idea that I can take my whole library with me everywhere I go. So thank you, Tim. So with that said, I hope Santa was equally good to you, and I wish you a very, very rest of your holiday season. Namaste.
Mm-hmm.